Are you joining the what is that? Hari Sedunia, Hari Air Sedunia. I think the ministry is organizing a river cleaning. I think.
We just had ours on Monday.
Oh, you did yours. Okay.
Just had ours on Monday.
We are waiting for Datuk Kadir, is it, Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Lee, when is your annual meeting?
24th.
24th of April. So if I quickly join IA, I must submitted my form.
Okay, so January then you need the president.
Hey, please. That's why I want to join. But the form, is it easily the one or just on?
Online? Online you can fill out.
Okay.
You can ask Amira or Ruby.
Okay. Okay.
Fill out.
You are in your house or in the office?
We're in the office.
Lee, Mr. Lee?
I'm in the house.
Mr. in the house, yeah.
So, okay.
A lot coming already. We are supposed to have one from Russia.
Yeah. Oh, one from Russia.
I don't know whether.
What about from the Spain and the Portugal?
Ada ke Jo? Dah masuk. Dia dah bayar.
Dia tak ada bayar tapi dia belum masuk juga.
Boleh lagi dia masuk.
Boleh, okay, tahu dah.
In our payment next time for foreigners, we must give them the SWIFT code.
Okay.
Very difficult for them to pay.
Otherwise they cannot pay. They have to pay. Belum masuk
Batteries.
Azaroza.
Alright.
Datuk ada?
Datuk masuk.
Highlight this.
Just coming.
Okay.
No, because I couldn't log in through the password. There's no password. So you give me the link, I got to fill up all the form again. Mana? Okay.
I think we're starting in a moment. Kita tunggu Datuk settle down dulu.
The setting. How Dr. Teo? How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, fine. Thank you. Okay, this is your second series. That's good. Actually, before we start, I feel a bit, not to say upset, but still sad with the minister statement that he's not going to announce this tariff. That's bad, it's not good for the water industry. We are heading for collapse if we didn't think, because he said this is not the right time, and that is the statement given by all politicians who hate the water, ministry. Not the right time. I still remember our Maximus on Kili was saying, ini kali sajalah, but ini kali never happen. Maybe
there's a bigger challenge when it comes to tariff.
I think, I don't know, as an NGO, Mr. Lee, the speech that is prepared here, I thought of abstracting this one, and we have to put something in the newspaper to push for the government to be transparent on the tariff setting mechanism, to educate public to know the components of water costs. And that need to be constantly done, and then maybe we engage the TV3 atau TV1. We call that, if Datuk Teo is okay, we have this session to talk about the water components. People always thought that water is free, especially for sewerage. So I think it's about time that we use our own vehicle to express it to the consumers. Through articles, through interview, be selective. Otherwise, it's no go. We did propose to SPAN to promote. Unfortunately, that allocation was given to others, and that others, I don't see anything happen at the moment. And that's also sad. We have given them a full program to promote on monthly basis, continuous on a serious basis, and with the storyline. But they never take it on board since Charles Santiago time. And then with this new chairman of SPAN, they also didn't take it. But I was told it was given to another party who was fairly green on this area, but we were not consulted. So maybe we have to put something in the news. We put a press release of this. I hope that the content you produce is very good, but I don't think so it's being shared with the public. Maybe in our series of trying to educate the public to our own way, we may abstract something, but we're trying to promote the tariff setting mechanism without exposing all those PNC things. We at least more the idea for the public to know. I think it's about time. Because our water operator, even though, you see, Datuk Teo, I don't know whether we have time now. I talked to the previous, not to read, the existing water operator who has migrated earlier. They're not happy with the terms given to Pahang. They say, why are they not given the same? So they start complaining. So they say there's no benefits in migrating early. Those who migrate later get a better offer. The same thing like this traffic offense. You don't pay the police, you wait for discount. So for those who are very what they call disciplined, they pay immediately. So might as well don't pay and wait till you get the good discount. So that is
sorry,
okay.
Dato'.
Okay,
I think
we can start.
We can start. Correct. Sorry,
Okay, tak apa. I have to adjust my things. Okay.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Greetings to Yang Berbahagia Datuk Teo Yen Hua, our presenter today, and Yang Berbahagia Datuk R. Abdul Kadir, our MWA President. Welcome to the MWA Masterclass Series 01 2021, Fair and Sustainable Cost Recovery Model for the Water Sector Transformation. Just the usual housekeeping, participants can use the chat box to identify your presence to others. And so, hello to friends. Kalau you nampak your friends want to say hello, you can use the chat box. This is requested by Datuk Teo himself that if you want to ask questions during the presentation, you may raise your hands. And click the raise hands on the Zoom panel box lah. So he'll let you speak up. During the presentation, we will mute everyone to minimize interruptions. Okay, now I'll pass the screen to MWA President Yang Berbahagia Datuk IR Abdul Kadir for his opening speech.
Thank you, Indra. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Yang Berbahagia Datuk, Datuk Teo, and those present. First and foremost, I would like to thank you on behalf of National Water Association and to all present today for this masterclass webinar, and for your good support. We will continue this masterclass webinar in the future, because it's a good sharing knowledge, especially with those veterans like Datuk Teo today, and we have more veterans that we have join us in our prominent professional group. So we'll abstract as and when the right topic that should come up, and we should all share through this masterclass webinar. And I would like to thank you, our distinguished speaker, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Teo Yang Hua. Everyone knows, it's very famous. And he's those who do not know Datuk Teo, he's the ex-SPAN CEO, the first SPAN CEO, I would say, was involved in the transformation or the water restructuring in Malaysia. And this is also his second masterclass webinar with MWA, and I already thank Datuk Teo for his very good support and sharing knowledge. That's very important, and also for taking off some of his valuable time. He's very busy, although he has retired, but he's very busy, been sought after by many, and he's an advisor to Informa, which is the organizer of the Asia Water 2022. As we are all aware, Malaysia has been implementing a program of reform to change the way water supply and sewerage services are managed across the country for more than a decade now. And also, the government has also embarked in transforming the water sector towards the digitalization, and more importantly, to make water as a profit center rather than the cost center. And that's been undertaken by the Academy of Science. The water reform we see has been an evolving journey and far from finished. So it's still a long journey, and we're still in the journey, and it's taking time in order to create a water services industry that is technically, economically, socially, and environmentally sustainable, that provides a secure basis for Malaysia water future. And I'm sure that Teo remember the three key elements of the water restructuring. That is holistic. You have to be holy, then only be holistic, then you have to be transparent, and also, last but not least, sustainable. And that's the key word for the day, sustainable. So along the way, the government have had to deploy a range of tools to drive changes. And as you can see, the innovative policy, financial incentive, improved information, reform institution, and a new regulatory rules and expectation. There's been more than 10 years that we have undergone the water restructuring, and that's still not over yet. So over the past couple of years, to add up to the challenges, there's climate change, and everyone know we have pollutions, water disruption, and drought has played a very important role in both catalyzing and testing the reform. And in spite of this reform development, National Water Association feels that there are many stakeholders, decision makers, politicians, water industry players, young water professionals, and consumers at large who are still somehow ignorant about many facts of the Malaysia's water reform, national objectives and agenda, and of the way forward. This subject was addressed in the first masterclass conducted by our esteemed Datuk Teo Yang Hua in March 2020. So it's 1 year ago. So 1 year ago. It's not too long, so it's good to revisit back. I'm sure that our Yang Berbahagia Datuk Teo can recall what he has presented. And today, it is my pleasure again to invite Yang Berbahagia Datuk Teo Yang Hua to the second masterclass under purview of the National Water Reform Agenda. And the subject of the masterclass this time is on a fair and sustainable cost recovery model for water sector transformation. So this masterclass will outline on another important need and driver for the water reform. And this time it will be on financial sustainable cost recovery. That's one another keyword is a cost recovery to ensure the success of water transformation in Malaysia. We are confident that Dr. Teo will provide many useful insights into the aspect of financial sustainability and in particular on a subject that is always at the top of the mind as water players, namely the question about water pricing and water tariffs. And it's also in line with the World Water Day theme called Valuing Water. So ladies and gentlemen, pricing water is very controversial topic and there is a plenty of disagreement about the right way of pricing it. Malaysia Utilities, Water and Sewerage, enough experience not to get their water and sewerage tariff application approved as they deserve. So some of the points with regard to this are summarized below for ladies and gentlemen to point a note on. One, water tariffs are a powerful management tool to achieve various objectives in the water and sanitation sector. However, setting tariffs is a political process that rife with controversy. Experience so far has shown that low tariffs are set largely for political rather than practical purposes. I would say, in short, it's still being politicized. The fear is there from the politician in putting what is right. So free water is often used as a campaign promise for political gain. This political interference has been found to be a significant barrier to effective cost recovery. There seems to be no right time for the politician to revise the tariff, and it happens at a time when the change in the government. The tariff structures are often complex and difficult to understand for consumers, and people are not generally aware about the cost of providing water and sewerage services, and it's difficult for them to judge what is a fair or appropriate price to pay. There is a disagreement over the objectives of water pricing and tariff design. Tariff setting practices affects the goal of different stakeholders in conflicting ways. Consumer needs affordable and equal water services, whereas utilities require stable revenues for cost recovery and economic efficiency. A tariff structure alone cannot cover all the needs. Consumers are usually not involved in the design and setting of tariff structures, and they cannot reject inappropriate tariff structures because these are typically set by the regulatory agencies. Like any other business, utilities must recover their costs if they are to sustain their operations. Tariffs are the most common way of doing this, but tariffs serve other goals beyond raising revenues to cover all part of costs. They are also used to ensure access across socio-economic groups, to send price signals to users about the relationship between water use and water scarcity, and to ensure fairness in water service delivery. So in most states, I would say all states in Malaysia, prices are usually set below full cost recovery for historical and, more importantly, because of political reasons. And there are implicit and explicit subsidies associated with the tariff structures. I would say almost all, like even Sarawak has been declared, they also receive subsidy for this tariff structure. That is the conventional wisdom, but there has been insufficient focus to evaluate whether our state's water tariffs are meeting the desired goals. This masterclass will look at water and sewerage services tariff in Malaysia, along with relationship to cost recovery, cross subsidies, and financial sustainability. Water tariff structures are measured against the criteria of cost recovery, efficiency, and equity. I would like to apologize to Dr. Teo. I take upon myself the risk of preempting Dr. Teo's paper, as I believe we hope at the end of the day, the participants will have some answers, at least to some questions, which include, do our tariffs recover costs? Are there fair across subsidies between large and small consumers, commercial, industrial, and private residential consumers? Are water usage charges equitable? Are water quality of water and sewerage services fair and properly regulated, and which is more costly to treat water and sewerage? I'm happy to leave all of you with these questions, and I look forward to a very lively and fruitful discussion today. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, I thank all the participants again for your support and attendance at this webinar. Thank you again to Yang Berbahagia Datuk Teo Yang Hua for taking his time to share with us his valuable experience that's not written in the book. It's a hands-on experience, and he has seen all the basic fundamental, and I think he's still being sought after for advice and his patience to bring the water industry forward. So please save your date for the next webinar organized by Malaysia Water Association, and don't forget we also have Asia Water 2020 that's in line depending on the current situation of the pandemic. So have a fruitful webinar and enjoy your listening to Yang Berbahagia Datuk Teo Yang Hua. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Dato'. Now I'll pass the screen to Dato' Teo Yang Hua.
Thank you. Well, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let me just record my appreciation to MWA, Datuk Kade, Mr. Lee, I saw Mr. Ko, Mr. B, Adam. Well, before I do my presentation, I just give a few comments follow up from Datuk Kade's speech. I think I totally agree that the restructuring has not been following the path or the plan that we have set out. And we have to do something, because later I will show you all that if you do not, this tariff setting is one of the 4 pillars. So when you are looking at pillars, if one of the pillars, you have 4 pillars, you know that anything cannot stand on the three pillars. You have to have that 4 to balance. And without that, I think you will collapse, as what Dr. Kati has mentioned. So let me just share with you the topics or the coverage of my presentation or this master class, and I would like to make it very interactive. First, we'll look at the pricing water and its challenges, water services restructuring. As I've said, unfortunately, what was planned and what was being implemented seemed to be not as what was envisaged. And then the cost recovery model for utilities, I will try to make a bit of comparison, because many times we've heard that the energy sector, why is it the energy sector, do not have this type of problem? And then the cost structure for water services. And I also like to touch a little bit on the water sector transformation and some of my personal views on this water sector transformation. And also finally, a bit of summary and conclusion. And let me like to acknowledge that some of this information are actually mostly published information, and the perspective that I'm presenting does not really reflect the position of those organizations that I'm affiliated. So that will include Informa Markets Malaysia. I also sit on the board of Iceland Mall. I'm also occasionally Strategy Plus will also invite me to be their review consultant, and I've left the Rubber Gloves Manufacturing Association's Education Foundation. Now, OECD countries. OECD, these are the advanced countries, 30 over countries. You can see that most of the European countries, all the developed countries are there. And according to OECD report, the right price can encourage efficiency and investment. And one of the key messages that I read from the report is that balancing financial, environmental, and social objectives in water pricing policies remain a challenge in most OECD countries. So for some low-income household in Hungary and Mexico, sometimes they have to pay over 4% of their disposable income on water and wastewater services. Then let us just look at it. What is the situation compared to Malaysia? And later I will just let me just go to this slide first. I would like to say the pricing, the sustainable water pricing policy. This is I just try to develop myself. It must meet the needs of the present without compromising future generations' ability to meet their own needs. This is actually basic principle under sustainable development. And at rates that is affordable, we must admit, we must agree that water is life, water must be made affordable. By sustainable going concern licensee, I put the word licensee here to meet the environment in Malaysia, the ecosystem, the regulatory regime. So you want to make it affordable, but at the same time, we must make sure that it is a sustainable going concern. You cannot have water supply at affordable rate by a company or a corporation or entity that cannot continue its business. And the next one is for universal access. It needs to cover Opex and CapEx with quality and service level of international standard. I think just a couple of days ago, you read from the Star about water quality. We can later go into that. Yeah? So this is what I'm going to focus on. So in terms of social, I always like to use the word inclusiveness, because that is actually a major trust point that we have to build. Rates should be transparent, equitable, affordable. Now, water industry, not only in this country, but also in other countries, somehow the pricing, setting water prices is much, much more challenging than other utilities. I myself have experience in setting telecommunication pricing, those in the year 2000, early 2002 for telecom. Then I'm also involved in setting tariff for Tenaga National. And I find that setting prices for water and sewerage is the toughest. Now, price must be commensurate with service level standards and quality. If we want first-class infrastructure, we want very good service, we want very good water quality, sewerage services, then the pricing must be right. We want to make sure that our people, benefit, because this is from the social angle. The society will ask for very, very good water quality. And I've also included here reasonable cost of connection and capital contribution. You all know that cost of connection is also important. And then you must have a consumer complaints, integrity, and risk management compliance. It's something that is getting more and more important. This will develop the trust that later the willingness to pay will also hinge on this. And rates not a hurdle to earn a livelihood, which is very important. And universal access, that means providing a service to everyone. And community involvement in conservation and protection. And I'm glad that the federal government now is embarking a lot of this community involvement. And finally, regulatory impact assessment as one of the tools to ensure that we get people be with us. Now, economic contribution. You have to make sure that the only qualified cost. In the past, I think a lot of I don't want to mention which state, but a lot of costs were actually not related to water supply. So we cannot allow to continue that. And then pricing from economic angle must underscore scarcity of the resource and externalities. Externalities means that because it has other impact due to our action. Today, if you want to price the water at very low and highly subsidized, there will be externalities in the sense that our future generation will suffer because you do not have enough money to replace the infrastructure. And transparent audited costs must be audited, costs must be benchmarked internally and against industry. This is very important because we, unlike another national, we have here every state having a water company. So you must internally, we benchmark ourselves, we check the cost, we must also benchmark against other states so that why is other states able to achieve at a lower cost? So we must learn from that. And the cheapest available cost of funds, BAAB. Again, this is very important. BAAB must ensure that always they will look for cheapest cost and allow others to also provide that cost if the water operator is able to get financing that is of the same cost level. And returns should be based on KPIs. I think right now we are looking at only very few states having returns, and enable investment for new and renewable infrastructure at agreed service level. Because how do you want them to how much you want to put into the infrastructure renewal will depend on what type of service level that you want. And risk, the last economic condition is very important that rates to be reviewed every 3 years. I think we have this was based on the principles of the restructuring that we have started. Unfortunately, I think this is the last one that has always missed. Environmental conservation must reflect sustainable development, planetary health. Now, everywhere you go, people talk about planetary health. We cannot run away from that. You must discourage wastage and promote efficient use. Rates must be based on polluters pay principle, especially for domestic, and even for those that are industrial users. Ensure equitable sharing of costs from pollution, promote conservation, and optimum resource reduce or recycle. I use the word optimum because we cannot just blindly go in and say, oh, we must at whatever cost we do a water recycling or reduce. It has to be based on optimum. Optimum cost is the one that we can ensure that the people will then have trust in how we manage, how we regulate water, and clear targets for energy efficiency and renewable energy towards carbon neutral. And I will explain, this is another very important angle that we must come in. Energy forms one of the is the highest cost component in our Opex. And if we can bring down a 10-20% energy usage or energy efficiency and also energy cost, now solar is actually, the cost is actually at par with the fossil fuel. So this is, and solar energy is a clean energy. And set value of raw water and cost for sustainability. We must actually address this raw water. Now, just now we talk about Mexico, certain places of Hungary. They find that disposed water and wastewater services can cost them more than 4%. Now, I have captured this. This one I must thank Dr. Faisal, who shared with me some of the information from the 2019 water statistics, and which they have also compiled the average household income. So I would like to share with you that this is the average household income based on, I put that Iceland or LAP, based on the state that this water operator is serving or providing the service. Then you can find that for Iceland, which cover Kuala Lumpur and Selangor, we have the highest average household income of 9,581, and the household expenses of about 6,980. 2008. And then you have the, from the other states, you can see that ranging from about 3,000 plus to a maximum of about 9,000 something. Yeah? The average, I think, is in the region of about 5,500. That is our average household income for the country. Now, water bill. I calculated based on 25 meter cube. Now, water bill as a percentage, of the household income. Just now we talk about the, we can objective way is to calculate based on the disposable income, but I'm using here household income. You can see that for 25 meter cube, what is the lowest? The lowest is for Penang. Penang 0.11%. This is percentage. And the highest is supposed to be for Johor, SAJH. Johor is 0.4%. And that is, we are not looking at a water bill that is up to 1%, 2% of our household income. Even if you base on the disposable income, it is well below 0.5%. Even for the highest state like Johor with the tariff. So now when you talk of affordability, is our water overpriced? I think globally people are saying that Malaysia, your water is too low. The water tariff is too low. It's not too high. Now I will probably come back later on this whether the pricing consideration next time we should look at which aspect of it. Water services restructuring. I think this slide I've used it last year, the masterclass, and I just want to share with some of our participants who are new to this that this is the funding mechanism under asset-light model. And we have used this since 2008, and you can see that the regulator SPAN will actually look at the business plan of the water operator. Once the business plan is approved, then the water operators will then go to PUB to get the water asset to carry out the projects. So here we have made the water operators asset light, which means that they do not carry water asset. Though some of the states, some of the water operators like Penang, Selangor, they do carry some water assets. So, but I must say this, eventually, you look at the sustainable water services. Water operator must carry its own asset. It must carry your own asset. Your costs, your tariff must be able to cover all your costs, both capex and opex. So this one, the owner of water assets, I put here PAB. PAB only will be around based on the plan that we set up in 2006, 2007. Is only for a period. It's a transitional model until such time that water operators is on full cost recovery. PAB are supposed to cease in operation. So and PAB being a 100% federal government owned company is able to secure funding. Cost of fund will be much lower than the private sector or even the operator themselves. Yeah? Now, water governance, water services restructuring, and I put here state government water. When it comes to raw water, it is still under the state government. Yeah? All the state government have their own set of water enactment. Water supply is under federal government since 2008, and we have also introduced a Water Services Industry Act 2006. The other day, I bet Dr. Ching Tu still reminded me that actually we conducted 70 consultation with all the stakeholders before we finalized the law. And civil services is already under the federal government. But what is interesting, what I noticed that now water resources has become very sensitive. So this is what I wanted to say. Rivers that flow within the state falls under state's jurisdiction. This is under our federal constitution. But those who flow across states actually fall under the federal government. And land and catchment are still under the state government. So this is something that I would like to share with everyone. Now, what are the key policies? This is what we agreed in 2007, 2008 when we started to enforce the law. Federal government will fund raw water infrastructure for states adopting asset-light model. 2, water supply capex by PARC will do the water the capex and lease back to water operators. So in terms of implementation, yes, we did not put it cast in stone that everything must be actually carried out by the PAB. PAB can actually empower the water operator to carry out some of these projects. Not necessarily everything must be centralized. The main objective of PAB was to raise funding. That because it is a federal government company, you're able, with the federal government's credit worthiness, then you are able to go to the market and get a cheaper cost of funding. And water operators submit 30 years business plan and 3 years rolling plan for approved by SPAN. Tariffs set by minister based on recommendation of regulator. And that is very important. During the drafting, I must say that during drafting of the law, our original intention based on the consultant's recommendation was that it should be a totally independent regulator. That means tariff to be set by the regulator without having to get any approval, just from the government, from the central government. If you know of what there is Office of Water in UK, they set the water tariff, without having to get approval from other authorities. And even though now I know that there is a Consumer Pricing Council is also looking into that. Regulator to take into consideration views of water forum representing water consumers. And this is important that we wanted to look at consumers. We want to have the consumers listen to them, their points of view. And other sources of fund allow provided cost is comparable or lower than PARC. This is already approved. It was already agreed even during those times. And upon expiry of this agreement with PARC, water assets should return to state government. So I think you all know Johor is 30 years. The rest are all 45 years. Now, from the aspect of adopting or migrating to asset-light model, I must say that this 1 to 2 years, especially this year, things have moved quite a bit. Pahang and Kedah have just signed, even though just now that Kade said that some of the water operators feel that they also should be given that type of facilities, the type of privileges. I think they are more looking at the rural water supply, and I think that I hope that federal government can also recognize that. Now, but to say that those migrated early did not benefit, it is also not right. I think to be objective, I think those who have migrated, you can see that actually a lot of improvement has been achieved. So this is and the average cost of fund here is about 4.2%. Currently, I think we are all looking at 4 to 5% for PARC. And maybe now it's a bit lower down. Now, this is the important chapter, the 4 pillars of reform that I explained. Federal government to have legal policy and regulatory authority. We have done that. We have the law. We have the SPAN. Ability of affordable capital to make capex. We also have this. There's no problem of PARC raising financing. No problem. But the problem is with how is PARC going to recover the risk rental if water operators' tariff continue to be suppressed or continue to be ignored, the request for tariff increase. Now, operations are efficient and effective. Yes, I think this one, SPAN has put in KPIs, put in monitoring, even though personally, I feel that now it's time for SPAN engage technical and financial auditors from external auditors to help them to evaluate this. And lastly, transparent and fair tariff setting mechanism. I put that is the biggest challenge. I use bold, red color, and what we have been told is ready to implement after post-COVID. Now, let me share with you, this is again based on my experience as an ex-regulator for the water sector. Now, one of the biggest challenges that the authority face is that water stakeholders in the state like to compare. Ini lowest. Why is Penang is so low? Why do we need to increase? Why is after we have restructuring we still need to increase? I mean, I've been asked this question, but you really need to go and explain to the political stakeholders, political masters. You really have to take great pains to explain, to say that, for example, I was asked, why is it that you have restructured and now you come back for a tariff increase? Then we have to explain to them that if we did not have a water sector restructuring, like in the case of Johor, Selangor, some of the states that have been private sectors, because they were owing these water concessions so much money. Now, then you have to, even the late payment interest it can balloon, it can snowball. So which means that now we have restructured, we have more or less gone into asset light. The water companies do not need to go and look for private sector financing. We have here, we can roll over a lot of our funding payment. So there will still be new capex, replacement of infrastructure to be done. So we cannot say that after restructuring, no need tariff increase. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people do not understand that a lot of our water infrastructure, the pipes, the pumps, treatment plants, already been there for 30, 40, 50 years. And you have to replace this. Now, lowest tariff, highest tariff was 50 cents. Now, the political master will say, wow, why is it that ours is so high when the other state is so low? Now, the other one will be, I put it most 20 meter cube and 30 meter cube. You can see that it's like, and this is something that we have to address. And this is something that I think we can address using the tariff setting mechanism. Now, fair and sustainable water pricing. Restructuring based on asset light, I put here is a transition model. I hope everyone can understand this. Please, I'm here just to share my knowledge, share my experience, that if there are improvements to be made to the model that we have one, please go ahead. But this is why I want to say that based on our original one, is supposed to be a transitional model. It's not going to be permanent, and long-term sustainability require tariff to cover all costs. And some water pyramid question me, Theo, now you say that the raw water infrastructure, I thought it's all the while supposed to be federal government. Fair enough. But you must know that when come to 30, 45 years, when there is no PAP, when the government, federal government has ceased. KPJ. Okay, please go ahead. You want to ask question? Yeah. Sorry. Can you? Hello? Hello? Can you all hear me?
Can.
Can, Dato', can.
Someone want to ask question, eh?
Who want to ask question just now?
Yeah, Ken, please go ahead.
Okay, kejap eh.
Yeah.
Sorry that I think that person tak cakap dah.
Tak cakap dah. Tak apa.
Can you repeat your question?
Anytime, please, participant, anytime. You all know me so well. Anytime you want to ask, please ask. You know, I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm the expert on things. This is all what I want to share is some of this personal experience. I've gone through this. As I say, you know, if you're looking at the sustainable provision of water services in the long run, and bear in mind that here we say 30 years, 40, 45 years. We started in 2008. Now it's 13 years, you know. So it is not something very long. You must plan ahead. Yeah. So post asset light will require tariff to cover all costs. Okay. I can see our Dr. Ashari is also, you know, you can always come in to ask me questions and challenge me with some of these ideas. I personally feel that to ensure that our future generations are able to also meet their requirement, we cannot push everything to them. Some of it we have to develop ourselves. We have to fund ourselves. During our lifetime, I remember that when I started, I stay in the kampung. 1972 only other public water supply, and you know without and from 1972 until now, you are looking at almost 50 years. And the pipes are all, you know, those definitely when the pipe was new, treatment plants were new, you can drink everything from the pipe, from the tap, but not now, you know, not because that the water quality at the treatment plant is not good. The water qualities are all checked, verified, everything, but sometimes it's because of the pipe. So sustainable there is something to prepare for post-asset light regime to avoid a spike in water tariff, which will happen to the future generation if we are not careful. Policy call, I know this is purely a policy call. Some water operators who are attending may not be happy with me, but I'm one who like to speak, you know, based on what I think is right. And because as I've mentioned, as I've shown just now, water tariff is definitely, affordability is not an issue. We please, you know, we are not, if you come and tell me that I cannot pay extra 5 ringgit for water for a month, I don't think you are telling the truth. Poor, low-income group, perfectly all right. Please go and help them. Help them by all means, but not everyone. Now, this is something that I think we have to continue to go push forward. Yeah. Now,
Dr. Teo.
Yeah. Please.
I like that point. I think we are actually too carried away with, you know, the problem related to the poor people with their concern.
Yeah.
But actually, we miss the opportunity of the rich and the industry and everybody, which are maybe the 70%.
Yes.
We are too bored with the 30%, and we don't even do anything to the 70%. Itu rugi lah.
Rugi, you know. I mean, rugi from financial standpoint, rugi from sustainability.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes,
the sustainability.
It is not good. It is not good, and I don't think it is going to be fair for our future generation. We are not being fair to them. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not emotional. This way I speak, and you all can always challenge my ideas. And then tariff review not fully based on uniform mechanism, but operator specific. This was what has been done in the past. But I think we have to move into a more structured way of tariff setting. And lack of political view and appreciation for importance of sustainable cost recovery. I use the word cost recovery. I don't want to say that pricing too much. It's actually cost recovery. We are looking at cost recovery so that we can have that money go back to finance to meet the cost requirement. Now, this is where that I think that it is very important for us to push forward the tariff setting mechanism. Here I list down all these slides. I prepared myself. You know, list of water operators having same tariff structure that is tariff bands. Then you see SAJ, you have first band, 20 meter cube. SADA, EKSB is Kelantan, JBA Labuan, Malacca, Science, and then the AIS. So now the Iceland, so you can see that the second band, first band we give 20 meter cube. 20 meter cube for a household. Our household now is between 4 to 5 on average, 4 point something. So you look at 20. Earlier I used 25 to find out the one which is 20. You divide by 5, you have 400 for one per person household. Divide by 30, you only got about 130 something. So I use 25. But even if you look at it, so the third band is those above 35. Now, the water operators, I hope that everyone, I've been pushing for this, everyone follow this structure. If everyone can follow this structure, and when the tariff setting mechanism come in, where the first band to cover Opex, and we all know that Opex, you cannot run very much from one state to another state. You know, the amount of energy that you use, yes, some state may be more cheaper, like in the case of Perak, you know, Perak, because a lot of gravity flow, you know, you probably having less. But you look at Pahang, everywhere you go, 88 water treatment plants is all the pumping cost. So if you take away some of these extreme cases, most of the water operators or OPEX in terms of the cost, personnel cost, chemical cost, probably only the energy cost will vary a bit, but the rest are almost the same. Yeah. So that will narrow the first band, the disparity, the difference from the one. So what is important is that try to put ourselves in the shoes of the political master. They will tend to compare, ini kita sudah tinggi ini kita, you know, ada yang 20 sen, 22 sen, why are we charging ours so high? So it is very difficult to decide. And not possible to, I put there the second key points I put here, not possible to have same tariff rate for band 2 and band 3. However, difference must not be too big. And in many advanced countries, it is acceptable to have different rates between states. You go to US, you go to UK, you go to Australia, it's the same. No state are going to say everyone having the same, except for those that are under one company. Yeah? So we are not. Yeah? Now, these are the states that I hope eventually to move into the 3 bands, you know. And when I say it has to harmonize, like here we have PAIP with Pahang. They are having 3 blocks, but the volume is different. The first block is 0 to 18, second block is 18 to 45. My God, 45 cubic meter is a lot of water. And at this price, the second band 79 cents, you can't cover even your Opex for Pahang. You know, I hope that Pahang, when I was there for 2.5 years on their board, and I was told that now they wanted, which is good, because this is definitely not the way that we manage our water. And above 45, 99 cents, you know, tak boleh lah. Ini you are encouraging a lot of wastage. So, and then hopefully the rest you can look at it. I just hope that Penang will follow the rest to having three blocks, and based on the tariff setting formula of first block, Opex, second block, Opex, Capex. I'll go into detail later. Now, anyone wanted to ask any question before I proceed? Ada? Or anyone want to share your thoughts? Dr. Ashari, I know you are one of the most passionate water leaders in this country.
Yeah, Dato'.
Yeah.
So exactly what you said, it's right lah. That means country like state like Pahang, they really need a boost.
Yeah.
It affect their moral as well, no?
Yeah.
the spirit of working, and then actually affect the deliverables, the service.
No, as Dr. Ashari, as you have mentioned just now, because we have somehow only too influenced by the need to protect the poor. And we know that those who really need this sort of support of 10, 20 ringgit are not those who are making 5, 6, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 household income a month. No, these are the people who want good water supply services. They will go and rent or lease these water purifiers. Now there are so many. You have Korean brand, you have all sorts of brand, Japanese brand, you have Taiwanese brand, and they pay 100, 200, 150 a month. Why? They say that, no point you having cheap water supply when your water quality is no good. Now, who suffers? Who suffers? It is the poor. The poor cannot afford to go and lease this type of water purifying machine. So this is what I always try to share my thoughts with the political masters. The political master want to protect the poor, but this is not the way. Now, those who can afford to pay, please get them pay, but we improve the service for them. If we just simply increase the tariff without improving the water supply services, then I don't agree. As a consumer, also I don't agree. So, but we are now capable. Later I will show you. We are capable of improving the service or the water operator. So anyway, anyone want to come in, please come in, and no need to wait for the one. As I said, we still got 1 more hour, so we will keep on the challenge the thoughts of how to get this our stakeholders to agree. Now I show this slide. This slide I got it from the World Bank when we had this Asia Water last year. World Bank to speak on this. Now, World Bank moves towards sustainable water sector through efficient cost recovery management. World Bank also recognizes if your cost recovery is based on efficient cost, then you can see currently you say only 15% of utilities in developing countries cover O&M costs and generate cash surplus. That means that out of 100, only 15 utilities in developing countries having an operating surplus, which means that you are able to cover your Opex. Then he said that step 1 is to increase your collection rate to 100%. Okay, when you say 100%, it's 99%, 97, 98. Once you are above 95%, I think we are quite all right. And then he said with operational efficiency gain of 65%, utilities can cover Opex and some debt. And that is by non-labor cost reduction by 15%. This is where that you keep on improving your operation. And you know that we have moved away from a government department to a corporate entity for all states except for I think Perak has still using a board, but the rest. Except for GBA Labuan, the rest are all corporatized. I'm very happy, that process that was planned when we started this water restructuring. And when you become a corporate entity, then you are more cost conscious, you are more efficient. You drive for efficiency, you are more accountable. But the only slack now for this water restructuring is actually the static setting. We all agree that is the only one. The rest. I'm very happy I got involved in this sector. I'm very happy to see a lot of transformation. The only one that we can cross that hurdle, I think, Dr. Ashari, I think we can tell our grandchildren that we have done something for them.
Agree.
Now,
totally agree.
With reduction of current level of non-revenue to 25%, you say you can push up to go up to 65% of the utilities in the water in the developed country will be able to cover the O&M, and finally increase revenue by 10%. So Now, let me show these water, the TSM model, which I will explain later, the telephatic model, and then you look at electricity. I think a lot of people thought, oh, I need electricity. Electricity supply is very, very different. Even though some people tell me, no, like the same, still is the same. It is not the same. Water's assets under asset liability do not reflect true market cost. Therefore, not suitable to adopt a return on asset base, weighted average cost of capital. Your weighted average cost of capital, for example, for Tenaga is 5.1%. You look at both the equity returns and also your loans that you raise from the market. Yeah? So, but eventually, our water sector, you want it to be able to cover the full cost, just like Tenaga Nasional, just like energy sector, just like communication sector, you have to reflect all the actual costs. Now, this is a slide that I presented during the UKM1 energy. This is based on 2018. At electricity, you are looking at 51 billion. Profit after tax, you're looking at 5 billion. And you know, our water sector, and this is 2018 figure, you're looking at 5.6 billion and a negative PAT of 2 billion. And per capita revenue, this is if you take the total amount of revenue divided by the total number of people, you can see that actually it is a lot of different. The worst is actually sewerage. Dato' Kadir will know the worst is actually sewerage. So I have also put in the input cost per intensity. Every RM of GDP generated requires 3.71 cents of energy cost. But when it comes to water, it is 0.36 cents. So, and worse is actually for the sewerage, which means that actually, you know, we have a lot to catch up. If you really wanted to ensure that you have good water supply services, good sewerage services, and you know, this low-cost regime should be reviewed. Now, what are the key points? You know, our water sector, the total numbers of average bill for the domestic, you're looking at 26 ringgit per month. 26 ringgit per month, and we get more from the non-domestic, you know. But energy, here I'm referring to electricity, because sometimes energy, when I was in Ministry of Energy, we like to include gas, we like to include other things. So full cost recovery with EBITDA, that is earning before interest, tax, and depreciation, amortization, you're looking at over 30%. If I'm mentioning, it's 36% for our electricity supply. And water, we are highly, you know, highly politicized, and except for a few countries, there are a few water operators, I think less than half of it are not having operating surplus. When you do not have operating surplus, what are the implications? The implication is that you do not have money to pay for your capex. You are only enough, you only collect revenue enough to pay for your Opex. And we know that however good that you are to improve your operational efficiency, if your pipes are leaking, if your pumps are so old that it is not replaced, are not efficient, you can't ever, you cannot really make the ends. You cannot really improve the service. You know, you don't even have money to put in your digital program to have a more user-friendly, consumer-friendly billing system. People want to pay, will still, you know, you still pin out that slip, put in the letterbox, you walk, you know, and then they have to go to the post office or go everywhere to pay. Now, these are such a level of services is to me is really obsolete. If you look at how we pay for the other services, I think I'm glad that you know, some state has actually improved that, you know, but the rest, I think, still a lot of room for improvement. And then don't talk about the replacement NRW and all those things. Yeah. So electricity tariff is set by, someone asked me, why is it that electricity can go on full cost recovery? I say electricity is easy because it is single operator. It's single operator, and everything is set by federal government. The EC introduced incentive-based regulation, which consists of base tariff. Yeah, base tariff is, you set a base tariff valid for 3 years. And then you have an imbalanced cost pass through depending on those input costs like gas, like coal, and so forth. So they are on full cost recovery. Communication, which I was once, as I said, I was also involved in setting prices for communication. Communication also has achieved full cost recovery. Now, and TMB, I put a note there that ICPT, the imbalance cost pass-through, is only applicable to those that are commercial and industrial users. Now, this is where that you can see that the fuel and generation costs, the ICPT debates, if there is a drop, then you will come down. Yeah, but fixed and operational cost base tariff, it is always reviewed for 3 years. Now, this is what I'm coming to the biggest challenge. You can see that I put here the domestic account. Actually, our domestic account and TMB is almost the same, except that we have TMB, even the high rise, they have every unit having a separate meter. I think for us, our water sector, we still have quite a number of these old condominium that have not migrated to individual meters. Yeah, and the sewerage is the worst. Now, moving forward, you want to look at full cost recovery. You want to look at sustainable development, sustainable services. Tariff has to cover both Opex and CapEx. And this is where I say total revenue versus total expenditure. You can't cover your Opex. You can't cover your total expenditure here. There's a big gap. And here, you can look at both this is more the total revenue, operating expenditure. I will not go into detail, but what I wanted to say is that with the restructuring of the Selangor water supply, I think now Selangor have a small operating surplus. Yeah, so the total now has been reduced, which again is good. After with all this restructuring, it's more sustainable. And this is what I want to say, that in future, with this current tariff setting mechanism that the government is implementing, is waiting to be implemented, the first band will cover Opex, and if we can, everyone agree, every water operator agreed, first band should be 0 to 20. 0 to 20 actually is only subsidized because it is just only covering Opex. And then the 20 to 30 Opex and CapEx, and lastly is Opex, CapEx, and also the regulated returns. But this is not ultimately, this is transitional, because if you wanted to cover all costs, I think there'll be a big jump. So under the asset-light model, asset value for water is based on outstanding loan amount. Yeah. So this is what we plan out those days. Asset handed over to water operator by third parties like developers, government are not included. Water infrastructure is not based on replacement cost. We don't really look at the marginal cost of it. When you set your tariff. Asset to be returned to state government at the end of lease tenure, and need to set a timeline to move towards replacement cost, because that is where that you can ensure sustainability. And again, I just show you personnel cost first band, personnel, electricity, chemical, raw water quality, other O&M plus license fees. And then the last one, actually, the third band is supposed to have regulated profit plus environmental cost. But I think the current phase of implementation, we have not really captured this. Now, what I think we should include the environment cost, because environmental cost is one that is going to really kill us if we are not careful. Yeah. So future TSM to reflect sustainable development goals. This was what I mentioned just now, the environmental consideration. And what should be the environmental cost? This is something that you all may want to give your view. One is operating cost of land use, catchment and ecosystem protection, catchment rehabilitation. We have a lot to do this. River cleaning, monitoring and surveillance, public awareness and engagement. Without public support, you can't really protect catchment, so, and innovation and local technology development. And this is something I will mention. According to United Nations, investment of $1 in your water services, you will have return of $8. And there is a multiplier effect here. If you want to put in the replacement of the pipes, unfortunately, I think what we are lacking in the water industry in this country is we do not really look at the economics aspect of how to justify this tariff. So if you can tell the government that, yes, you invest 1 billion, there is a multiplier effect of how many, the one we can show you which are the sector will benefit, how the sector will again generate the future investment and also benefits to the economy. And then, we can then be easier for us to justify. And then show them from the social angle, your concern of this low-income group will be, marginalized, or they will be unhappy. Let's assure that even if you have to give them 10, 20 meter cube free water, your total return for the industry will still be much more. And only then we have sufficient operating surplus. We can do so many things. TNP, the electricity, we have 36% operating surplus. That is how you can then plow it back. But if you do not, if you are running at a negative figure, my God, you just don't have anything even for our local technology development. So I also like to cover, but otherwise Datuk Kadir is going to whack at me. He said, Tio, you always talk about water, you never talk about sewerage. So I also look at sewerage. Tariff setting policy is unclear. I want to say this again. Except for non-domestic sector, domestic sector current tariff was fixed administratively. It was done administratively, not done based on cost analysis for low cost for others. Sewerage assets are owned by federal government, but no specific asset facility owner or licensee. I have been saying this many times. My concern is that it may expose the federal government to strategic litigation and liability in the event of non-compliance and violation of VCR. VCR can exempt government company from holding a license, but a government company must still be in compliance with all those provisions in the law. Now, current capex funding, this is something that I'm very happy. I think that in the past, our former regulators and policymakers have made the right thing. You say that property developer, you want to come up with a development, you must make sure that if above 150, then you 30 units of property houses, you must then put up your STP. So you have two portions, government, regional treatment plant, and then now we have a lot of consolidation of these STPs from the private sector. You upgrade it. This is good. I think this is good. This is the right way. I have traveled to many developing countries. I think very few having this type of system. This is something I like very much. And then we have the sewerage industry capex pay and connect model. Those property developer who wanted to connect to the existing public STP, public sewer, they pay 1% of the property value. And this fund, which is actually regulation, that means that everyone must comply. The rates are fixed, and the fund, I was told, has accumulated quite a lot. I think Dr. Ashari probably will know more about this. Now, possible option, again, the sewerage tariff, many studies have been done. I was also being consulted in this some of this process. But I think that the options are there. What is important now is the political will. Do you want it to continue with a different service provider, or you want to have an integration? The law has made provision for all these things. There's no problem. You know, it is only that how we want to move forward. Now, let me go to this cost structure. You can see that the Opex for the water, basically you have energy, personnel, chemical cost is not so much, and the rest. You can see that from the year 2006-7 onward, the personnel cost has gone up, you know. And you know what? Why is this personnel gone up? It's because of corporatization. Now, I analyze it. I think that it is basically due to corporatization. We know that when all the Jabatan Berkelan Air, that is water supply department, when they are corporatized, their salaries are no more being, they are not put in the pensionable scheme. They were given increment, I think 17.5%. Then after that, they pay EPF. So that's why the thing has gone up, but now has stabilized around 25-26%. And this is the cost structure, and you can look at all of this. If you only the dam and the barrage and those water resources side is funded by the federal government, the rest are actually you can claim for your tariff increase. But again, as I said, even this green box here, eventually it has to be we have to get tariff to fund for this. So state water operator NRRTU, I think I show you the next slide. Now I think national is about 33.2%. Then you can see that those migrated, just how we see that those already migrated earlier. SAMB, Penang, SEJ, LAP, Selangor, Labuan belum lagi, Science. Actually, we must accept the fact that actually restructuring PAB has also helped to drive this. So it is not totally a disadvantage. You have gained your advantage. Let us be very objective. The only thing is you may wish to go and now claim from the federal government that can you also help me to reschedule or this rural water supply. But you look at this, Pahang, you look at Sada has migrated, and then Kelantan also have just migrated, but they, in case of Sada, I think they expect to have an operating surplus soon, because of the expiry of some of the concession, and then SAP police. Now, I think this is a chart that I've taken. I've put in the source there. This is the economic level, but what I want to share with you is actually my slide here. You see that if the average margin, our sector marginal revenue is the average revenue. That means that you sell additional water, you will still be charged the same rate. Your revenue is still the same in terms of rate wise. So, but when whereas your marginal cost of NRW management, initially you can see that okay, you will come down with that meter replacement, with some of the replacement of the pipes that are hotspot, that are a lot of leakages. But slowly, the cost will come out because you get very difficult to bring the NRW down. And if the average tariff remain the same, that is, if tariff remain the same, there's no incentive. Johor, I can see that it's still 24-25%. Penang has gone up to 22-23%. Likewise, Malacca. Why? Because the additional money that you put in, you do not get a return. So this is something that we have to address. It's again, you go back to your tariff. Now, if the new tariff is adjusted, then you can see that because your marginal revenue, your average revenue will go up, you push your cost more toward your revenue towards the right, even though your cost increase, it is still beneficial. Now, in terms of financial requirement, I know that I think Minister has mentioned about 280 billion, I don't know for how many years. But my estimate, this is my very rough estimate, minimum, you need about 4 billion a year. Minimum. It depends on what level of service that you want. And then you need a positive EBITDA of more than 30%. Yeah. And the full cost, only then you can look at full cost recovery in 15 years. And even that does not include raw water supply. Now, fund needed for next 30 years, what? Your higher effective reserve margin. We know that we want reserve margin, digital transformation program, asset replacement, NRW detection, online, all those things. Energy efficiency and renewable energy. Renewable energy, you before you can have this saving, you have to invest, and this is where a lot of people couldn't understand. I've come across a consumer forum who say that I will never agree to your tariff increase until you prove to me that your service is good. Now, there is a question of chicken and egg. I told them, I said, then you do not see the challenges that the water sector is facing. There is no money to invest. How can you invest? I just remember that science, the time I think Park was fortunate that upon migration, Park lent them 30 over million to replace the meter. Otherwise, you got no money. You go to police. Police, the CEO will tell you, I have to use even my own pocket money to pay the meter reader to read the last quarter bill. Now, I mean, no wonder that it is 60%, 60% the NRW. Now, I will take a break, and anyone can come and, we still have about half an hour. So back to the admin first. Hello.
Thank you, Dato. Okay, anyone can join in now. I think, do you have any questions?
I hope it's Dr. Ashari, it's appear to me it is a one-way dialogue, one monologue.
Yeah. I think this is a very interesting topic. I think we should listen from many more participants so that we can.
Yeah.
We really want, because the spirit is there. I mean, I think we need to see something moving. Maybe somebody can come up with new ideas or whatever to get this thing moving. Maybe
why don't we try to ask J. Adam?
I think Prof. Hanifa have a question. He raised his hand.
Prof. Hanifa, okay, please go ahead. Please, I need some feedback. I need some sharing of thoughts on, what I said, whether makes sense, doesn't make sense, or is it this old man is getting...
Yeah, good afternoon, Tokyo.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the insightful presentation. It's always good to keep hearing from you, from the wise man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Since you are very much involved from the day one of the restructuring, and you said you have gone through 70 consultation, I think you would remember the good old days, that we actually, Malaysia took the step after looking at various models to more or less follow closely the UK model. Right, the UK model.
Okay.
And then based on the UK model, of course, they got this ministry, which is DEFRA, and then they got the regulator of what, and of course the water players. They corporatized first. They corporatized back in 1979. And then later on in 89, they privatized. And today you can see the UK water companies. They are all very have moved into full cost recovery. Many are actually also foreign owned and so on. So my question to you is, where did we go wrong? The number one is, if you want to reflect back, based on 2006 till now, the real water industry restructuring have not really gone through the line of sight where we first envisaged. And I think there has been a lot of diversion, and there's a lot of also partly the regulator's role in this case,
Okay.
Are we actually trying to make the industry progressive and moving forward, or we are putting in too many roadblocks, in terms of licensing, in terms of many things,
Okay.
So if you look at the water industry in the UK,
Yeah.
every of their business plans are actually based on an asset management plan. And today, I think
asset management plan,
AMP 7 today, and
yeah.
AMP 7 is presented up to the parliament stage, then brought back, and then there's a negotiation, and then the plans are actually implemented. And also there's partnership in the implementation. You do well, you get more incentive. You do not so well, you get some penalties and so on. I think our model have actually quite diverted from the original intent. I still remember the many sessions which we had with the British High Commissioner coming and officiating. Of course, so Ian White from Ofwat coming and guiding us as well. Michael Ross and so on. But I think along the way kita sudah jadi macam rojak sikit lah. And I also heard
which aspect of it, if you can if you can be a bit more detailed, so that
just to finish off a bit. I also heard along the way many times he said sewerage is the worst. So if you look at the sewerage from non-privatization to federalization back in 1993, they had this law called Sewerage Services Act, and they had a regulator, and the most powerful man is the Director General of Sewerage Services. And he is the man who actually can call the shots. And I think the 12 years of sewerage services from 94 to 2006, to me, I've seen much more progress than the 15 years after 2006 till today. Because by putting sewerage together with water, although that is the final roadmap, I think it stifles some of the progress in sewerage. The asset light on sewerage is just an administrative arrangement between the government, because the government owns the operating company. To lessen the burden of the operating company, government has taken upon themselves on the capex. So I think there's something not right with the governance itself, the structure, which needs to be revamped to actually progress this industry at par with the telecommunication and the energy industry. So maybe you'd like to hear your views. What went wrong? If you are actually want to do it right, what are the things you will do right this time around?
No, thank you, Prof. You again, you see that sewerage is actually a national company. Don't you agree? Except for Kelantan, like Johor Bahru and Pasir Gudang, the rest are actually a federal government control.
Kelantan is also under federal government now.
Now Kelantan has also been handed over. I don't know about Johor Bahru and Pasir Gudang, but you can see that, as I mentioned, I give you an example of the Tenaga Nasional energy sector. Because if this is one company, your stakeholders, it is much easier to address it. You only address the consumers, you only address the federal government. But water, whether you like it or not, unless everyone agreed that we set up a national company, otherwise it is going to be dead. And you use the of what UK as an example. UK, what they are able to do, they write off all the loans before they privatize. It was all written off. If I'm not mistaken, it runs into billions of pounds. Cannot remember how much.
Yeah, they call it the green dowry.
Yeah. So water, we knew that we come from a level that there are a lot of differences between states. So, but the main problem that we are actually facing, the main problem is actually tariff setting. The rest, I got no issue. We envisage that eventually, just now when I say services is bad, it's not the service is bad. I say sewerage tariff is worse than water tariff. You don't even cover your Opex. But the model of a sewerage capex is very good. As I mentioned, that was a right thing to do. The only problem is this water politicized, highly politicized. Sewerage, if you remember those years when it was first privatized, it was also politicized. But when the government bought it back, there was no issue. Now we only have issues of the communal septic tank, the IST. I think those are. I will also elaborate on that. Anyway, Adam, would you wanted to also share your thoughts? Yeah.
Yes, Dato', thank you for being in as the panel for this discussion. Because I'm involved in the water restructuring from 2007. I 14 years. Yeah, 14 years already. Yes. And I am with you, Dato', on this. I think everything is in place, except for the tariff setting mechanism.
Yeah.
But can I just go detail a little bit on the tariff setting?
Okay.
So the issue with the tariff setting is actually like rightly that you pointed out, is that we politicize it too much. My understanding of this tariff is actually like this. If, let's say, we want to help the poor, I think we have a mechanism to help the poor.
Yes.
It is not an issue. For example,
targeted the poor.
Yes. It is
subsidies.
Help them. For example, if, let's say, you go for this Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat, you can actually get the list of name of people that considered poor. And of course, these people that is considered poor, they can always bring their card to the water operator, and then put and register their name with the water operator, and definitely the water operator can actually assist them. Not an issue at all. So my suggestion is that, Dato', when the regulator or the NGO want to actually tell the minister to actually propose for a tariff setting, we must come up with this kind of a solution. We must tell the government that there is a system that can help the poor. That's number one. That's number one. And number two, Dato', we know that the pricing of water, we have three levels. Number one is Opex, Capex, and the third one is regulated profit. For example, if let's say the government did not allow for the water operator to increase the water tariff, then rightfully the Opex portion must be taken care of by the government. It cannot be the other way around. You didn't give me permission to increase the tariff, yet you asked me to suffer. So I think this is the thing that we need to actually tell the government as an industry body, so that they know this before they make any decision at all.
Just to share with all of you, when I was still in SPART, when there was a proposal to increase the electricity tariff, I did voice my concern. I said that when the water tariff, we are not allowing to increase. We allow electricity tariff to be increased. Can I then ask for a rebate to be given to water operators when it comes to electricity expenses? But unfortunately, I think they have their other reason for not approving. But what I totally agree with you. I think there is no issues on these water sectors. It's just because of the tariff setting. And that is the most critical, I say, the biggest challenge. And unfortunately, the biggest challenge we are unable to address, the restructuring will never be successful. I must say this. I better qualify myself, otherwise next time people will laugh at me. You will say that, Theo, what sort of restructuring that you have started? That you are driving a lot of this one. Now we don't see that. But we put it very clearly that tariff setting, please, that is the most important pillar, and yet we are not addressing it. Okay, thank you. And I will proceed. If there are any other questions, you can always come in. And
okay, Dato', there's another one in chat. I quote from SP Lim. I quote from him, yeah. Thank you, Dato' Teo. We have heard of water transfer project in Perak for a very long time, and it's still not quite anywhere. Do you see this project will ever realize, and when? What is needed to make it a reality?
Okay, my personal view, very frank, I think we must always look at the win-win. Now, Perak wanted to sell treated, Penang want to buy raw water. Now, I have my suggestion later that I think that we have to look at other option as partnership. Okay, and because I think that if you ask me, it is if you look from the water security points of view, it will not be good for Penang if Penang have continued to depend on 80% of their raw water from one river. That is very, very risky. If there's anything happen, they have to diversify the sources. So, but at the same time, I just hope that Penang and Perak and Kedah, they can look at it as a shared catchment, see how we can help each other. Water resources is something that is going to trigger a lot of conflicts, not only within the country, also between countries, if you are not careful. So may I just continue? Okay. So water sector, this is the last part of it, water sector transformation. I think I borrowed this slide from the ministry, KSU slides, which I will just highlight a few things. I'm sorry that you can't really read this, but it is available in the CASA's website. Now, NRW, our target is that by 2023, go down to 32%, 25, 30%, and by 2030, 25%. Treated water reserve margin, 13.5 going up 15.25. Now, electricity sector, the reserve margin now is easily over 30%. Now, when there's a peak demand, they have to cater for that, because suddenly if there's a demand surge, it will just the grid will just go down. So they need to have that buffer, and the consumers, the industrial and the commercial consumer have to pay for that, that standby peak demand. And Opex recovery, I'm not quite sure that how this is worked out, but if you look at the Opex recovery, yes, I think it is not only you must recover 100%. I think it has to be more than 100%, so that you can have that not only cover the Opex, you need to have operating surplus. And then domestic consumption, you can see from 190, 180, 160. Again, this one tie back to your pricing. If you continue to set a very low price, if we continue to subsidize, nobody is going to save water. It's ridiculous that you can try to save in terms of the how you use your water supply, but monetary wise, you are looking at 1-2 ringgit a month. I mean, it's unlike electricity. It's unlike telecom service. Yeah, it is too politicized. It is the pricing doesn't mold consumer behavior. We know that there is a consumer surplus. The concept of consumer surplus is that people are willing to pay more, but it is we who say that no, you don't have to pay more. No, people are willing to pay more. I pay more, you give me better service. And that is reflected why a lot of these machine, this purifying machine, this filter lah, all sort of thing, saya sendiri tak pasang, but I can see that, my God, you go to the shopping mall, they'll show that, oh, this is the water supply from the public system. This is what you can purify. The reality is, it is true to some extent, it is not totally true. But it also reflects there is a consumer willingness to pay, provided I can be assured of a better service. And that is where we are failing. That is where we are failing. That is where the policymakers will have to push for it. That yes, I allow you a tariff increase. I want to see that your service level improve. That is it. Okay, and I think that is a key message. That if your takeaway message from my this old man cakap banyak, that is it that I want to tell you. That I do not believe the issue of affordability, except for those targeted group that are from the low income. You know, you'll be surprised that when we do away with free water, when we only get people to apply, you can see the number is actually the number is actually small. Okay, finishing my this one. I would like to promote that someone talk about the partner, the sharing of the weather transfer of water from Perak. Well, firstly, I think we know that we also need to monetize the effluent and move towards circular economy. Last week, I think we all know that IWK has signed with Iceland, something that I'm also very happy. That I think that this is something that even way back into 2014 when we were in SPAN, we wanted to do it. We want to do it. We have identified, say that well, let us go into this. But unfortunately, anyway, it is also I'm glad that now it has materialized. So, but this interbasin partnership. This is something that I mean, you all can correct me, you all can challenge my ideas, but this is something that I hope that moving forward, we can see some transformation or some consensus in this, because every state is guarding our catchment. Every state is saying that no, I cannot. This is my the river belongs to me. I need to take care of my own people, but if that continue, the country will not benefit. We look at a bigger picture. A country will benefit when the GDP, when your increase in GDP, and I say that when we invest in all these things, people have confidence. Good water supply, I will invest in this region, not necessarily in Penang, not necessarily in Kedah, not necessarily in Perak. But you see, you can see that the foreign investors, people will be willing to come in. Oh, I will set up a glove factory here. I will set up one, but I need to be assured that you have enough water supply, sewage, sanitation, good services. But if we cannot do that, we are always quarreling that this one is I won't agree to pay you. It is also not right. This is something that I hope that states, water operators, can let us sit down together. Let us go for win-win. Let us look at a bigger picture for the country, for our future generation. And then the other one is reclaimed water. Same thing. I hope that this will materialize in other states, and it will then make our water industries more sustainable. And I put here partnership. You can see that monetize it. You identify those viable STPs, sewage treatment plant. You conduct techno-economic study, feasibility studies. Then you have to issue the raw water distribution. I mean, the distribution has to be by licensed water operator. Now, some people will ask me, why can't you liberalize? I think Cik Adam and myself and Dr. Kadir, and we know that even to increase a 10-15% of water tariff, we have run into so much politics of it. This is not the time. The moment you do that, my God, I tell you, your sewage also will be in trouble. Because if there is this reclamation plant put up, and you are unable to reflect your cost, to recover your cost from your tariff, I give you one example. NOL is Northern Utilities. It is also independent electricity supplier. Ran into a lot of problems. Finally, they have to bail it out. So this is not the time. This is the time for us to work together. You can engage the private sector, but the control, I still feel that you still need to channel this water through the water operator. You can have the investment input to come in, but to ensure that your collection, you are able to recover your investment, it should not be just allow individual companies to everyone start setting up. As we just mentioned, it will divert. Things are going to be very complicated. So finally, what challenge for this reclaimed water is the acceptance of the user. This is very challenging. It is not to say that it can easily go and sell this reclaimed water. You have to make sure that the user or the buyer is confident in terms of quality, in terms of the stability, in terms of assurance that I will continue to get the supply as what you get from the normal water supply. Okay, so this is, to me, is a bigger challenge, and it is doable, it is achievable, provided that we must start with the right footing. And I put here skateboard framework. I borrowed this from Strategy Plus. He said this is a balancing act, as what we have discussed. A lot of these water issues is actually balancing act. Federal government interest, state government interest, consumer interest, water operator interest, NGO interest. How do you balance this? This is something not easy. So, and then Dr. Kadir, I think I'm sure that, and Prof. Haniwa, that we are still, you still need to address the ISTs and the communal septic tanks. It's something that we have to address this. We have to enforce the dislodging rules. We have to see how we can incentivize those ISTs to also go and dislodge or to connect it to the STPs. And this is one of my last slides, catchment system operator. In UK, they have a catchment system operator. Most of it are also water operator. You look at the catchment. Now, right now, raw water, we see that after we have amended the Personal Constitution, we say raw water remain in the state. But who is actually looking at the catchment? We have this local, the authority to look at the raw water, but actually they are a regulator and they are also a service provider. But that is where that I see that there's a mismatch. Most of the time, they say, I got no money, I do this. So this is catchment system operator. It is being implemented in other countries, and those are the things that they can help the government. And finally, I think that is it. I will leave you all with any Q&A for this another couple of minutes. I'm prepared even to go beyond 4:30. Thank you. Back to you, Amina. Yeah.
Okay. Can I pass the screen to IR Ko?
Mr. Ko?
Thank you, Dato'.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Dato' Kadir, Dato' Speaker, Dato' Teo, and all our friends in water. Dato', I think what Dato' talking today is all the time is in all the water
operators,
water fighters punya hati lah,
yeah.
deep in the heart.
I know. That's why I'm quite sure that out of the 38 participants, almost all will agree that actually our biggest challenge is tariff setting. That is correct.
You see, the issue is, you see, this has been the fighting. I think during the time Dato' was TKSU time until dah pencen tau. Dato' Kadir pun dah pencen. Dato' Prof. Hanifa pun dah pencen. Mr. Bay pun dah pencen.
Struggling on this one.
So I think the issue here, I think that we all the time talking about all these because of the political will. I think at the same time, I'm not sure if I want to say this. I think we are giving too much right to the politician on the water issue. Of course, it's a ministry concern that doing the all the formalization and regulation and tariff setting. But the key point now, I think what we can see that you see when this is back to politics a little bit, whereby this is an issue that both sides is going to either in a governments or in opposition. They always take this as their modal politic last, but it's a public's or the people's right to reach water. But again, I think revision of the tariff with certain percentage, with very low price of our water, I think that should look into the different angle. That is, as Dato said always, the right price of water, the right value. It's not price, it's a value.
Yeah.
Value of the water. When we have this recent, the previous government, I'm not supporting the government this and that, but this can happen. This has been happened by whereby the opposition and the government, they agreed to, you see, they out in the parliament, both opposition and the government agreed and vote for the young voters. So that never happened before. Both agree. I think this issue we are having now, I think we should go to all the politicians to talk to them that this is not a political mileage for everybody. It is your problem and my problem and the whole Malaysian and whole people and whole environment problem.
Yeah.
So that they can have this concession, can have this agreement that the water tariff is not a political issue. I think that is where we should start looking into this perspective. Otherwise, as long as the water tariff has not been addressed properly, the rest it will never happen.
Yeah.
We cannot do others and apart from a tariff revision, because the tariff revision, the water value now is too much lower than actual value.
Yeah.
As basic as the production cost, it could be cheaper than the selling cost is cheaper than the production cost.
Yeah.
Where you want to talk about MW, like what the talk illustrated just now, the curve just now, maybe 30%, 40% is still not worth to recover because the water is so cheap.
Yeah.
We just let it flow away,
Yeah. Yeah.
But when we look at when we illustrate it back to the total production, let's say 25% wastage, Dato, NRW. A treatment plant of 100 MLD, 25 MLD is hilang.
Yeah.
This is crazy, You're talking about 40%. You build treatment plant and just allow 40% untuk hilang. Macam mana?
Yeah.
So I think this is where I am looking into the I don't know. We're talking about the new government, whether whoever win. I think this issue should be addressed to all the parliament punya orang, so that they agree this is not a political mileage for them to get in whoever in the position.
Yeah.
We should probably look into that perspective first before. Otherwise, it will not ending. It become a political mileage all the time.
Yeah. So
that's my opinion, Dato.
Yeah. Thank you. I share with you, and but I must also say this, that sometimes is how we present our case. I have this is again based on my experience. I think probably Adam also will agree with me that when we actually engage them, political master, well, you must be prepared to you must have good patience. Adam,
yes.
You have to explain step by step. You have to explain slowly. As I said just now, that sometimes when they understand in detail fully what we are trying to do, actually they will agree, you know. But it's a long process, and what is important now, we must get the consumers to be with us. Okay, that is the first thing we do. The consumers must be with us, and consumers are responsible consumer body. Yeah, I started consumer protection, consumerism, promoting consumerism in the year 1977. You know, that time was only consumer was FOMCA, CAP, and now we have so many consumer groups. Consumer must understand, and that is why I say that there was one forum that the consumer, one of the reps said, I cannot agree. No, you have to prove to me that your service has improved before I can agree on the tariff increase. So these are the things that, but they do not understand. But if we can explain to them, well, you see, how am I going to invest in replacing the pipe when the money that I collected can't even pay for the Opex? You know, if the electricity supply is cut off, a lot of people are going to suffer. So I have to pay that. When my staff have to, they are also human beings. They need to feed their family. So I also have to pay their salary. I cannot simply go and deny them that salary and chemical. So after you have paid this, what is left? There's nothing left. So how do you invest? So I think if you explain it nicely, explain it in detail, breaking down, and what is the impact? An increase of 10%, your 20 meter cube is how much? You know? So what is your household expenditure? And those poor, we will cover them, we will protect them. But those who are able, now you go to even now, this COVID, we order a lot of this food delivered. They are much more expensive.
Correct.
Okay. So any more feedback from anyone wanted to share?
Dato'?
Yeah.
Dato', can I just make a comment on your slide on the reclamation?
Yeah, all right. Can.
I take note on the signing of the agreement between AIS Selangor and Indah Water.
Okay.
And I do understand that, I mean, for people to use the water, they must actually accept the fact that it is from sewerage water.
Yeah.
I think that is
I mean, it is non-portable, okay?
It's non-portable.
Non-portable. So it is not so much of portable. When I say even the user acceptance, I'm talking of these non-portable users. You know,
understand.
Factories. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If let's say it is non-portable, Dato'.
Yeah.
This is my question because non-portable water, the water operator will need to sell the water to the factory, for example.
Yes.
So they have to identify factory that can use the water and then they will sell it.
True.
Because now the quality of water is actually less because a non-portable. Yeah. I am very sure the pricing will be lesser than the current price.
Okay. So if you ask, your question.
My question is, Dato', what is the incentive for the water operator to do that? Because this, if let's say it is a brownfield area, this will actually cannibalize the market.
No, let me share with you from my experience, because you see that if actually the treatment cost for this tertiary treatment, we compare it with the whole cost of pumping water from the river, channel it to the your pumping cost and everything. You work out everything. I can assure you that actually water operators will still be able to find that it is reasonable. It is give them a little bit of they will have some margin. You know. Now, provided first your cost control on the tertiary plant must be very good.
Correct.
You must make sure that it is very cost effective. Secondly, make sure that that initial stage now you do it for those near the vicinity of the STP.
Correct.
It means that not you cannot say I pump from 20, 30 kilometers away, and then you say that go through a very well developed city where you put an additional separate piping system, it's going to really cost you. You know, it will delay. It's going to cost you. So that is the challenge. Yeah, that is the challenge. But you overcome that. You not necessarily we go big. Adam,
yes,
not necessary. I think that from the economics point of view, even 5, 10, 15, 20 MLD, the project feasibility is there, we should start. Don't need to say that it must be regional treatment plant, very big one where we can pump 200, 300. Oh, I can. You are a chartered accountant, you know. The bottom line will be totally out. You are going to get slaughtered, and you will find that actually your cost will be too high. And that is where I say that the regulator must set some guidelines on this, and make sure that we do it correct right first time. Don't say that after that only we say ini sudah mistake lah. We approve the projects. So it has to go on the economics aspect of it, and also the social aspects of it, whether there will be a lot of objection from other users. But have a dedicated piping, like in Singapore, they paint it differently. Incentivize the users. That means that I have to modify some of my internal piping system. Please allow me to claim for tax exemption.
Correct.
They will need to have a separate storage tank. You cannot campur aduk dengan potable water, because that is something that can lead to a lot of social objection. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, though.
Thank you. Lagi siapa mau share?
I have one from Jabatan Pengenalan Air Luar Bandar, Mr. Muhammad Zakri.
Yeah.
I think he have a question for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
It's okay. I think I'll read his question lah.
Alright, boleh. Amina.
Is there any alternative ways water authority can generate income to recover loss in water sales? The second one is, what can we do with the high consumer outstanding balance?
Can you repeat the question? Because the first part he was talking about. Can you repeat that?
Is there any alternative ways water authority can generate income to recover loss in water sales?
Loss in water sales. Okay. Now you see, some other countries they like to get these water companies. Water companies can also do other things, you know. But under our water regulation, is supposed to be a single purpose company. I don't really, except for some other, some of the sites, they also recover water tower, telecom tower, the mobile tower. But in terms of these byproducts, we are still struggling to see whether we can convert the sludge into braids or some other usable things. I think the most what I call that feasible one, I think that is still the reclaimed water. Reclaimed water from the sewerage. Work together with the sewerage company. You want to basically the water sector, I think in terms of cost-wise, I do not think that it is the cost is very inefficient. The cost is not really that inefficient. I can tell you that anyone working in this telecom sector and the electricity sector, actually the labor cost is much higher. Yeah. So, but if you look at generating other revenue, yes, but they are not really that huge, sufficient to cover these losses from the low tariff. Yeah, I do not think so. And I think it's a matter, you must remember that this is not, this is a monopoly. This is a regulated industry, you know. This is not something that free market forces, you know. So that's why I keep, if you understand the concept of consumer surplus, you can say, why is it some people are willing to go and rent and put this kind of thing? Why some people are even go and buy mineral water for drinking? There's a consumer surplus there. That, you know, if you can get these people, if our quality is good, these people will be prepared to pay, you know, because the value, you know, Adam Smith, if you remember, Adam Smith is the economist talking about, you know, modern economists. He said that the paradox of pricing water is that water is such important, and yet it never reflects the value. Whereas the diamond, people are prepared to pay so much for diamond. And yet diamond, what can you do? It's only aesthetic, it's only for you to beautify yourself. Nothing else you cannot use a diamond for. But water, my God, I tell you, after I have done so many research, I say that World Bank says, United Nations says what? You must at least make available 100 liters per day per head. Ours is 200 something. and yet, you know, we want to break it down to 160, 180. Singapore is 130 something, 140. Why? Singapore's water tariff is 7 times more expensive than us. You look at the Star just reported. Oslo is 26 times more expensive than us. So, any more feedback before we? Yes, but not that can really. The business model for water is still very much to look at the tariff setting side. It's not so much of you can cover that gap of revenue and expenditures from other sources. You can, you know, but it is not going to turn around the whole situation. It is just another few percentage. Yeah. Any more questions?
I think there's one last question. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No problem.
Right.
Yeah.
What can we do with the high consumer outstanding balance?
High consumer outstanding balance. You see, these consumers, what I have noticed is, if we water supply, there is a water supply is unlike this telecom sector. Telecom sector, if you don't pay, they don't have to come to your house on it. You straight away you can see your mobile service. Tada! You are offline. But water, if people don't pay, you can allow them to pay by installment. You know, that is what also the scheme by some water operators, including Selangor, to allow that. Then after that, you know, if they are being unreasonable, some of them are being unreasonable, there is a provision for the operator to cut the supply or to at least block the supply. So, and I can tell you that some of them is actually not that they don't want to pay. They find that that because I have to pay 6 ringgit, 7 ringgit, you know, 10 ringgit. You know, I mean, sometimes if you do not get the bills, the invoice, the bills, sometimes you don't even remember because it is too low. Now, your mobile bill, you will be every time you will say, sudah bayar belum, because you're very conscious because the amount is big. But the water bill, some are so small, so little. So you know, so that is something that I think that the consumers is not that they don't want to pay. Sometimes is new to this type of attitude, you know, that no problem, they don't pay, also they don't come and cut the supply. But you know, just like the sewerage sector, sewerage services, some of them are not paying. Why? Because we don't ever do anything. Datuk Kadir said, give me the mandate to block their connection. So, Datuk Kadir, you're still laughing. Huh? So I think that water sector, no, those that are poor, please don't do that. I think Mr. Lee also agree with me that when we were in SPAN, we said that those households that are poor, unable to pay, please don't cut them. But if they are driving big car, you are having mobile and 20 ringgit, 30 ringgit, they don't want to pay, there's something wrong. Yeah. So that is how we recover. But I must say that most of the states, when you have very good water operators exercising this of their rights and obligation of the water operator, rights and obligation of the account holder, like us, we get the supply, but we must also have that obligation to pay. So to say that we don't want to pay, also it is not right. Okay, I hope that answered the question. Any other things?
Hi, Dato. Kelvin from Iceland.
Iceland, Kelvin, good.
Okay, Dato, I just want to comment that on our targets to reduce the domestic per capita consumption.
Yeah.
It's going to be very tough. Reason being, we actually went to PUB Singapore a couple of years back, and we've spoken to the senior director there, asking about water conservation.
Water conservation.
So he did share with us that the only biggest success factor is the tariff. No matter whatever incentive we do, those are just cosmetics to it.
Yep.
So in our context, if we do not increase the tariff, I find it difficult that our per capita consumption will come down.
Yep, totally agree with you. Totally agree with you.
Just one thing that I would like to ask about the catchment, appointing the catchment operator.
Catchment system operator.
Can you share with us how is it done and how effective it is?
You see, this currently, I must say that every state, the more developed, more advanced one, more, that we have Luas, we have Bakash, but what I notice is the service that is provided on the responsibility of ensuring the catchments are not polluted. You seriously need to gather information. This is where in UK, the water operators also have that responsibility. So whether there is a point source or non-point source discharge of these pollutants, these people know. And then they can also even reward, they can even get people to, pay people to who provide good water sources. Now, this is something that I thought that we must also look at that, because if you only look at the river, patrolling the river, when we have any event, that is not good enough. It has to be continuous. We wanted to, like using drone, you can use also your system, the monitoring system. But right now it's all done very piecemeal. What is important is whether it is a water operator or another operator from the state government to do that in a more structured manner. And with this is licensed, you can cooperate with, you can have a JV with any private sector. I think that is something that, a well-regulated regime to promote this and have a proper pricing. And then from the raw water, only then you can ensure you get good raw water. We talk of coastal reservoir. Coastal reservoir is going to be very challenging. The downstream for us is going to be challenging if our river is polluted. And how is river polluted? River polluted is not only from the household. It can be from other activities. So you need to have this someone to look at this overall catchment. And downstream water resources even need better catchment surveillance. And this is something that I thought that we have never talked about this, but in other countries, they already some countries like UK already started. So this is something that I would like to promote the idea. I'm also learning, but it's something that I thought that the water industries can look into it, and that is about the catchment system operator. We can always get more information on this. Yeah, and that is where I say that if catchment, common catchment, we can have this out of a partnership. Kita dengan Pahang, because we take water from Pahang. Kita dengan Negeri Sembilan, because our Semenjang River also, the tributary flowing, if the pollution from Negeri Sembilan also be affected. Yeah. So if we can have that, Muar dengan Melaka, Penang dengan Kedah, Penang dengan Perak, why not? Why not we look at that? And with a proper pricing next time, once the first stage of the tariff setting has been implemented, the next round is look at raw water, and that is where that if you can put in a 10-20 cent of N per meter cube in the raw water, you reflected it, and once the consumer see that, wow, the service is actually good, then consumer will be willing to pay. If the and politician will have no issue on this. Politician will have no issue with this. The political master like to use this because there are still people who champion. Oh, ini tariff tak boleh naik, ini tak boleh naik, ini tak boleh naik. That is where I say that the consumer body, I would like to see more consumer bodies understand. I think today we also have some WWF. Consumer bodies must understand this, because it is not good when all this pipe, Kevin, all our AC pipe, we have how much we can replace every year. We have limited resources, but if we have enough resources, an operating surplus of 30-40%, I can tell you there are so many things that we can do. You do not need to go and list these. I don't want to mention the brand now, but some of these brands are so expensive, the water purifiers. But you cannot blame them because there is a consumer demand. Okay, I hope.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Any other the one who want to? Mr. Lee, you want to say something? Mr. Lee, you are a veteran in this.
Oh no, I think enough already.
Enough there. Okay, yeah. Coming to the end.
Yeah, time is out. I think we can close. Thank you very much, everybody, for your questions and for your interactions. Maybe we pass this to Dato' Kadir to the last word.
Thank you.
Dato', are you there?
Dato' Kadir.
Not sure if he's there.
Sorry, there,
yeah.
Dr. Asari lah.
Yeah, he's there.
Ada.
And Dr. Asari, your mic is mute.
Okay, so Dato' Kadir, since Dato' Kadir is not around, so I think it is my pleasure to actually thanks everyone for attending this webinar, especially to Dato' Teo, my very old friend.
Yeah.
Daripada zaman belum ada wasiat lagi ya.
Yeah.
So I think it was a very interesting discussion. Of course, this is a big struggle since I think quite some time. I think maybe we try to do some other ways. Maybe we need to meet up again in person, and then we have to strategize. I think we can't be just letting this thing to happen by itself. We have to work on it.
Yeah.
So I think we will try to do something to get this thing over, this problem over. So Dato' Teo, we are very happy that you are willing to come to our webinar.
Ever willing. I think Mr. Lee and myself, we are the old veterans and started this. Sudah 17 tahun. 2014 until now, 17 tahun. Yeah, thank you. It's an honor. For me to be able to.
So terima kasih banyak. Okay, we would like to end here and hope to see everyone again in another program, another webinar probably, or even face to face. And Mr. Lee, I pass back to you. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Asari. So the next webinar will be, next masterclass will be on the 22nd of April, and it will be taken by Professor Anita. And this time we're looking at the water sector, water sewerage sector agenda. So this now is on the water reform agenda. Next one will be the civil services agenda. So we hope that you can also come and join us to understand the challenges and issues in the sewerage services, and also how you can actually move on to get a career path in the sewerage services. See what the opportunities you can have there. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Teo.
Thank
and
you.
everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Answered,
thank you.
Try to answer.
Please don't leave first. I would like to take a group photo. If participants don't mind, please on your picture so we can have a group photo.
Jangan gambar. Nama Mr. Lee
Hello,
dia ada.
Dr. Teo. Hello, Dr. Teo. Mansur dia.
Thank you.
Apa?
How do I do one?
Tadi I follow Dr. Asari punya line.
Okay.
Just now we're together.
Yeah. So how do I this one? I just leave. Do I leave now or wait?
Wait.
Wait. Okay.
We're taking group photo.
Dekat sikit sekali. Datuk dekat sikit.
Ada orang lagi tak? Okay.
Datuk dekat cantik tu. Okay tu.
Okay, cantik Datuk.
Okay.
Alright.
Okay, hostess mana tu? Ruby tu.
Wait.
Mana Kak Ruby?
Yeah, I take down my this one.
Okay. That's it.
1, 2,
Sekali
3.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
The participant that's been on your camera, are you anytime soon? No? Okay,
buka.
I think
Semua buka video semua.
Video.
Just for a
1,
second.
2, 3.
Video, please. Video.
Mansur there.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Ruby yang lari ya. Ruby, kamera
1, 2, 3.
Okay, Ruby. Hello.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Thank you very much, Datuk.
Thank you, Datuk.
Thank you, participants. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Hope to see you guys for the next webinar.
Yes.
Semua
Good effort by MWA lah. Good effort.
Thank you, Dato. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Tak apa lah. Boleh. Thank you very much. Thank you for the work.
Mr. Lee asal gelap sangat, Mr. Lee? Hujan kah?
Hujan lah sini, hujan.
Oh. Okay. Bye, Mr. Lee.
Bye-bye.
Coming tomorrow?
Tomorrow not sure yet lah.
Okay.
Your audit ada audit.
Yeah, the audit. You should be around, what?
Tak apa lah.
Nak minta your sign. Ada benda nak minta sign.
Dah audit sign lah.
Okay, bye, Mr. Lee.
Siva.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Thank you. Thank you, Joe.
Okay.
Okay.